These are strategies you can put to work, even with a low income, to help you save for a vacation, an emergency fund, or even a down payment for a home. Hello and welcome to Practical Personal Finance, where you get the information you need to understand and succeed with money. I'm Andrew Shear, and no matter what you're saving toward, it's not easy to save money. That's especially true if you have a low income. So today I'm going to share 5 essential tips to help you save more, even if you don't take home a huge paycheck. Make sure you stick around until the end, because I'm saving the best for last. Before we get started, give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. You're about to learn something new about money. Tip number 1 is to make savings your default. What the heck does that mean? Well, right now you're probably getting your paycheck at your job every week or two and depositing that paycheck right into your checking account. Instead, you should deposit that paycheck into your savings account. This is part of a concept called the saving secret, and I learned it from a fellow YouTuber named Jamie Beath. Jamie came up with the saving secret when he was working on saving up an emergency fund.
I figured, how can I put as much money possible into my savings account? And so this idea came from, well, let me just direct deposit money into my savings account. And then I got this idea of, why don't I direct deposit 100% of my money into my savings account? And then by doing that, I would just, because I was good at budgeting, I would transfer once a month money that was needed for the upcoming month into my checking account. So I no longer needed to budget savings. I had it happen automatically. It's kind of that nudge principle where you're able to set up a system where I didn't have to budget for savings anymore. And so that's the saving secret. The saving secret is, don't just save first, save everything.
The reason that the saving secret works so well is that it makes saving money the primary option. After you've saved money, you need to actively make the decision to move it to your checking account so you can spend it. It's much more difficult to actively make the decision to move money from your checking account into your savings account because you're giving up the opportunity to spend it right now on something you want. Of course, it's a good idea to keep some cash in your checking account at all times to make sure you don't overdraft. But if you're having trouble getting money into your savings account every month, give the saving secret a try. You might be surprised with the results. Tip number 2 is creating a plan for your money. As Jamie mentioned, at the beginning of each month, he creates a plan for how he's going to spend his money. Then he moves that amount of money from his savings account to his checking account so that he can spend it. Some people might call this budgeting. Some people might call it a spending plan. I don't care what you call it, as long as you're doing it. If you take the time to make a plan in advance for how you're going to spend your money every month, you'll stop wondering where it went. If you combine that plan with the saving secret, it'll be even easier to avoid impulse purchases because you literally will not have the money in your checking account to pay for them. If you're new to budgeting, I made a video to show you how it's done, and I'll leave a link down below. Tip number 3 is reducing your expenses. Usually when you hear that phrase, reducing expenses, people suggest things like canceling your streaming subscriptions or skipping Starbucks and making your coffee at home. That'll save you a few bucks, but we're after big savings here. So you need to look at the places where you do your big spending. I'm talking about housing, transportation, and food. The biggest share of your monthly expenses is most likely your housing costs. So that's the first place I'd look to cut. Can you move somewhere with lower monthly rent? Can you offer to mow the lawn so your landlord doesn't have to pay for landscaping services every month? Do you have an extra bedroom or an in-law suite that you could rent out? The right strategy here could allow you to save hundreds of dollars every month. Then there's transportation. Could you eliminate an expensive monthly car payment by moving down in car for a little while? Have you gotten a quote on a new auto insurance policy recently? Could you save on gas by carpooling or biking to work rather than driving yourself? Again, a single decision related to transportation could potentially save you hundreds of dollars per month. And what about when it comes to what you eat?
Now, food budget is one that can also get kind of out of whack if people aren't looking at it, because it's not a dedicated bill. It's just kind of like this fund that people have. But for me, like I said, I budget off my expenses. I pre-plan what I'm going to spend for the month. And so one way to help with that is meal planning, or buying groceries online and just having them delivered, and just making sure that you're budgeting those out.
Tip number 4 is separating your wants from your needs. Whenever you spend money on something, it's either something you want, like a fancy watch or the latest iPhone, or something you need, like electricity or water. It's important to think of our money this way because a lot of times we can make sacrifices when it comes to the things we want, but we don't have as much flexibility with the things we need. If you can identify something as a want rather than a need, you'll have a much easier time passing up the opportunity to spend money on it, and that will do wonders for your savings. Finally, tip number 5 is to have a goal in mind.
You really need to do what Stephen Covey says, is begin with the end in mind. What is the goal that you're really working towards? And have that vision. And so whether it's a long-term trying to build for a down payment on a home, or try to build up, towards a large vacation, whatever the goals that you have as a couple, or that you're personally working on, it's important to know what those are.
To quote the great Yogi Berra, if you don't know where you're going, you'll end up someplace else. Just like anything else in life, if there's no finish line, you'll never know when you've completed the race. Your goals need to have numbers, and they need to have deadlines. You need to get specific about how much you want to save, when you want to have it saved by, and what it's going to be for. Think about the difference between these two statements. Statement number 1, I want to save up some money to go on vacation this summer. Statement number 2, I want to take a trip to Canada in July. The trip will cost $3,000. It's January right now, so I have 6 months to save up the cash. I need to make sure I save $500 every month. It's not hard to understand which of these two plans will ultimately be successful. So come up with a specific goal you want to achieve. Once you do that, it'll be much easier to develop a plan to get there. Even if you have a low income, it's still possible to save money. And if you can learn to take control of your money, you can also take control of your life.
Money touches every part of our lives, whether we want to admit it or not, because if you can't even take care of your basic needs, then your life is going to be just so much more challenging, and then you can't take care of some of the other things like building relationships. And I think that's what it's all about. Life is about personal communication with, building relationships with those that we care about. And I think when you take care of your money, you don't have to worry about those as much.
I want to thank my good friend Jamie Beath for sharing his thoughts about money. If you'd like to hear our entire conversation, check out the Practical Personal Finance podcast and look for episode number 7. It's available right now on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you'd like to see more content from Jamie, I highly recommend checking out his YouTube channel. It's called The Saving Secret, and I've included a link down below. So, what are you going to save up for next? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, you'll enjoy this other one I made recently, where I talk about 9 strategies to help you boost your income. Check it out by clicking right here. And if you're not already a PPF subscriber, what are you waiting for? Click right here. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Andrew Shear, and I'll see you next time.